Alright, you ever notice how event vendors always seem calm right before chaos hits? Like ducks gliding on water while paddling like mad underneath? That calm is not luck, it is a system. And today we are cracking open what happens when demand suddenly spikes and nobody saw it coming. Picture a small town festival that usually pulls in 500 people, and then some influencer posts about it, and suddenly 3,000 people show up wanting funnel cake. The vendor did not suddenly grow 3 extra fryers out of nowhere, so what actually happens behind that counter is a mix of math, panic, and duct tape logic. First thing vendors do is triage, which is a fancy word doctors use, but here it just means figuring out what sells fast and doubling down on that instead of trying to make everything. If your lemonade is flying off the table but your kettle corn is sitting there sad and lonely, guess what gets more attention for the next hour? Here is where a lot of people get confused. They think vendors just call in backup staff like it is the Avengers assembling, but most vendors are small operations without a bench of extra employees waiting by the phone. So instead they pull favors, texting a cousin, a neighbor, or that one friend who owes them from 1998. Supply chains also get weird in real time, because a vendor planning for 500 people orders ice, cups, and napkins for 500 people, not 3,000. So when demand spikes, you will see a vendor sprinting to the nearest grocery store buying every bag of ice like they are prepping for a snowstorm in July. Pricing is another twist people do not expect, and no, it is not always some evil surge pricing scheme like a rideshare app during a thunderstorm. Sometimes prices go up because costs go up in real time, but often vendors keep prices steady just to avoid looking greedy, even if it means selling out faster. Selling out is actually a bigger deal than people realize because running out of product early can hurt trust just as much as running out late hurts profit. A vendor who runs dry by noon might get talked about online in a way that is not exactly the glowing review they wanted. Now let us talk about the mechanics of prepping food fast, because speed becomes everything once a crowd surges. Vendors start pre-making components ahead of time, like chopping toppings early or pre-cooking bases, so the final assembly takes seconds instead of minutes. This is basically the fast food playbook. And it is not cheating, it is smart, because a burger chain does not cook a patty from scratch every single time someone orders one. Assembly line thinking turns a slow custom order into a fast, repeatable motion, kind of like a dance routine everyone already rehearsed. Communication becomes wild too because vendors start using group chats, walkie-talkies, or just yelling across a tent like a very stressed choir. If one vendor runs out of cups, they might borrow from the vendor next door, because in that chaos, competitors quietly become teammates. Here is a myth worth busting. People assume vendors just wing it completely with zero planning, but most experienced vendors actually build buffer stock on purpose. They might order 20% more supplies than expected demand just in case, treating uncertainty like a seatbelt instead of a surprise. Data plays a role here too, even for small vendors, because many now track past events, weather patterns, and social media buzz before deciding how much to prepare. It is less crystal ball, more spreadsheet, but it still feels a little like fortune telling when it works out. Doubt shows up a lot in this business, because over-preparing wastes money and under-preparing wastes reputation, and there is no perfect formula that fits every single event. Even seasoned vendors admit it is part science, part gut feeling, part hoping the universe cooperates that day. The lesson underneath all of this is not really about food or drinks at all. It is about flexible systems beating rigid plans every single time chaos shows up. A vendor who can bend without breaking almost always outperforms one who built a perfect plan for a world that refused to stay predictable. So next time you see a vendor calmly handing out tacos to a line that seems to stretch into another time zone, know there is a quiet storm of logic happening behind that smile. If you want to learn more about how event vendors handle the wild, unpredictable world of event planning, check out our links in the description.